I got his button. All right, we're good now.
Okay. Well, hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome back to Run Brevard, Running Zones podcast. And as you can see, we are on video because we are all still social distancing. What is this? 6 weeks now? 5, 6 weeks. But we are healthy and we are safe, and we hope the same for you all. And we thank you for tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening on audio, head over to YouTube and watch us there as well, Run Brevard on YouTube. But I want to start by saying hello to my co-hosts, Pete Vaughn and John Carr. Pete, how's it going?
It's going well, Katie. Amelia had her first birthday, so we made it 1 year, and we're good now. Something like that.
So how did you celebrate with all this social distancing going on? How did that work?
A lot of FaceTime, and we had some pizza and ice cream with the grandparents here at our house.
Oh, that sounds like a perfect birthday. John, I bet you were bummed that you couldn't make it for the pizza portion.
I am really bummed, honestly.
There was a lot of meat on the pizza, in fairness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't really do a whole lot of meat, so that makes sense.
What about you, John? What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot, honestly. I haven't been posting vlogs because every day has been about the same day, just on repeat. And I've completely lost track of days. I was pretty convinced yesterday was Saturday for a while. And yeah, not a whole lot. How about you, Katie?
That's kind of a bummer when it's only Tuesday, but you thought it was Saturday. Same, the days are kind of running together. We're right in the middle of our birthday season in our house, where everybody has a birthday, plus Easter's in there and Mother's Day. So it really starts the beginning of March, but my daughter, 2 of my daughters, my husband and I all have a birthday within 2 weeks of each other.
Wow.
And then Mother's Day is usually right in there too. So we're in the middle of that. So that does I have to keep track of days for that because I can't miss any of the birthdays, except mine. I'm okay missing mine, but I can't miss everybody else's. And so we've been pretty busy with that and just really sticking close to home, homeschooling, those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then
how's the schooling been going for the 5 kids?
It's not that bad. I will have to say the teachers do an awesome job telling us exactly what they need to do. It gets a little more, my older kids, they should be a little more independent. So at first we were just kind of letting them do their thing, but then we realized we had to kind of check up on them a little bit. But I think everybody's getting the hang of it. I'm glad they're not going to go back this year for the simple reason of logistics, that, we're just now used to this. And, if you've had kids go back to school, if you remember from when you guys were younger, there's a lot of transition that happens at the beginning of the year. So to go back for a couple weeks and go through that transition, just to transition to summer, just to whatever, for me, it sounds like a nightmare. So I'm glad they're going to be here through the summer, and then we'll see about the fall, what happens next. Have you guys been watching, and then I'll answer last, I think, this ESPN documentary, 10-part documentary, The Last Dance, about the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan? Pete?
I definitely have. Yeah, I've been watching it quite intently, as that's about the closest thing we have to sports right now. We had the NFL draft, and that helped a little bit, even though it was virtual. It pretty much went off, without a hitch. And I think ESPN is in contract negotiations to broadcast some Korean baseball games that are going to be starting here with robots in the stands instead of people. Yeah. So The Last Dance has been basically, all there is to it. And I know a lot of people were clamoring for, release it all at once. And I don't know. I'm okay with doing 2 episodes, at a time for 6 weeks or whatever it might be. I think it's just fascinating in general. But
John, are you watching it?
Nope.
Well, now you might have to.
I don't really watch a whole lot of sports, honestly.
But will you watch the robots in the stands for the baseball games?
No.
What do you think? I would watch for that.
See, baseball is okay in person, but I can't watch baseball on TV unless it's the playoffs and I care about one of the teams or something. But
you have money on a team.
Let's just confirm for everybody, John, you are vaguely familiar with the idea of Michael Jordan, right?
Yes, I I get sports and I get the big names and stuff.
Yeah.
I probably couldn't tell you any of like the big, football players that have been popular the past few years. I don't know. I could name some random names that, I see like while scrolling through the internet or whatnot. But
I think that's how most people feel when you talk about all the runners that you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pete and I are a little bit more well-versed, but sometimes you throw names out there super casually, and I'm like, I don't know who he's talking about, these people you follow or whatever's going on, which I think it's cool because that's, your little
that's like my
niche.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your thing. Well,
I could also talk to you about like coffee and denim for a long time.
Yeah.
I just have weird interests that no one cares about.
Did you say denim?
Denim,
We did.
yeah.
I knew about coffee. I do not know about denim. I'm guessing we might not have enough time to cover that right now, but this may be something we have to follow up with offline or put together. Well, I've been watching The Last Dance. I was a child living outside Chicago growing up in the 1990s. My dad was never really into sports, really. I watched baseball at my grandparents' house on WGN. But I remember in the 90s, we definitely watched the Chicago Bulls. And just growing up in that time period and knowing so much about Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and B.J. Armstrong and everybody, Dennis Rodman. So I really like, and I love tennis. And I really, so I've seen the first three. I haven't seen the fourth one yet. I watched the third one the other night, and then I still need to watch the fourth one. But they focus a lot on Dennis Rodman in the third one. And I thought it was great. I think what's really cool is you think about how different he is, and he'd be so different now. But if you think about back then, like how incredibly different he was, I guess I never really thought about it because I was young and my parents, didn't say anything about it one way or the other. So I didn't really think much of it. But now looking back, I think, man, what an interesting person. And for the Bulls to kind of embrace him and let him be who he was. I just think that was pretty cool. I thought that was kind of an inspirational episode. Well, don't tell me what happens in the fourth one.
Just to interject real quick, I saw a pretty funny meme today that had to do with Dennis Rodman.
Of course.
And I just found it. But it said everyone in 2020 looks like Dennis Rodman in 1996 with the colored hair and the
oh my gosh,
like the painted fingernails and all the piercings. And I could see that. I think
I
remember
that's a good
the
analogy.
wild hair and everything, and
Yeah, I mean, he had his nails painted in present day on the third episode. I was like admiring his nails, especially since mine are gone. Quarantine finally took my nails because I can't go get them fixed, and I have no idea how to do them myself. But I remember even just in real time, I was like, wow, his nails still look amazing. I wonder if he has an Instagram account where I can stalk his nails because
I don't know. You want to see the kind of content he's putting out there.
That's probably true. If it was just nails, but there's really no guarantee with that.
Episode 3 is definitely the best so far. I'll just say that.
All right. I thought it was too, but like I said, I haven't seen 4 yet. I'm interested, like how deep they're going to dive into some of the stuff with Michael Jordan's dad. I remember that happening. I remember him being missing, and then like just it being this whole big thing, and everyone, like even where I live, is like on the lookout for him and that whole big thing. So I'm interested because I haven't really thought about it in over 20 years to see how far they get into that. And I'm sure they're saving that type of stuff for later episodes to see what they say, what they found, what Jordan has to say about it today. I think that'll be really interesting.
And how it came to be made was interesting because they shot all this stuff from the 97-98 season, and it's basically sat in a warehouse ever since then, because the only way the camera crew was allowed access, unlimited access basically to the team for this year, was that Michael had full say over what happened to this film. And so I think 3 or 4 times in like the last 10 years, someone's approached him about, making this documentary, and he's declined every time. And there's a couple theories about why they accepted it this time, but him and his agent and his team, basically so I think some people always want to talk about the negative, and they're like, well, this is not the real story because Jordan can still cut out anything in there that he doesn't want people to know. But there have been a couple things so far that painted him in a less than favorable manner. And so I think there's a good amount of transparency, maybe not total transparency, and for good reason.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like the way he was talking to some of the other players, and you even saw like some gambling on the bus in some of the footage. And I was like, oh wow, because he was a lot younger there.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I don't think it'll be a total transparency thing, but it's good that he's allowing himself to be portrayed a little more realistically, because that makes it more interesting. Yep. And I think in the end that makes you like him even more, at least me. Rather than just this image that was created by, the Bulls machine or whatever it may be. Nike, yeah, exactly. But John, I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to fall asleep.
No, it's all right.
So
I'd be really interested in like the shoe aspect of it, because he was, one of the first players to have his own signature model, and even, he was fined every game that he wore the Jordan 1, right, for the initial season, which is, I don't know, interesting to me. I like shoes, so.
Well, we should see if they get into that in any episodes, and then we'll make you watch that one. Someone told me it's on Netflix, that they're rolling it out on Netflix one at a time.
I mean, I'm not against it. I'd probably watch it eventually, but I still haven't watched Tiger King either. So
yeah, I haven't either. Not yet.
Yeah.
So, did you finish it, Pete? Did you finish Tiger King?
Yes, and the bonus episode.
And
as crazy as advertised.
Okay.
I think,
I think this is playing into your conspiracy theory time. At least that was on the schedule for the episode. So
yeah, both
right.
of the shows we're talking about right now might get woven into later discussions. So
okay, so stay tuned for conspiracy theories, Tiger King, a little bit of both later on. I know, John, you've been staying pretty busy. At least I see you all the time on Running Zone social media with this Run Brevard challenge. So why don't you talk about that a little?
Appearing busy. So I've not done a whole lot of running for the Run Brevard challenge. I logged my run yesterday, which was the first one that actually logged. Got to represent that 32935, who's not in that top 5 leaderboard, but anyway, yes, the Run Brevard challenge has been awesome. We're on today's day 13 of the challenge. Tomorrow is actually the last day. As of today, like 4 p.m., we had 1,600 entries. I think exactly 1,600 is what Pete said. And what were we at? 8,500 miles logged.
Yep.
So yeah, that's all throughout Brevard, which is super awesome. The 32940 area code alone having 2,000 plus of those miles. Wow. So those ladies and gentlemen in Sundry, I think we know a lot of those ladies in Sundry that are logging those miles. So
they're putting in work.
Yeah, I know. My groups are in second place.
Yeah.
And actually, we were still fighting pretty hard until you posted how many each had, and then we were all like, let's just run two.
I was almost
we're never
tempted to
catch
not
them.
Post,
right?
Because I thought it might discourage, oh well, we're not.
I mean,
them.
I've still been going out. I've still been logging every day, but it was just like, do I push for 3 of us to run 10 miles so we get 30, or do we just kind of like walk the dog and run a little and log 2, which is still exercise. But once we saw that,
I was holding off on posting for as long as I could because a couple people had asked about it, and I'm like, at some point I'll provide an update, but it's just the 32940 is just putting a hurting on everybody.
Yeah, well, that's good, and I mean, to have so many miles, that's really great. And do you think we'll do it again sometime?
I guess we'll wait and see what.
Maybe a rematch.
Yeah,
I think we'd all rather have runs in person, but. Yeah, for now this suffices, which kind of leads into our next event, which is the Running Zone anniversary virtual 5K. This is technically the 17th anniversary. Running Zone started back in 2003, and it's exciting. You can sign up for it. It's a free event on Run Sign Up. Just look for Running Zone 17th anniversary virtual 5K run/walk. And right now we are at 300 and refreshing page, 326 people registered for it. And we're at $1,900 donated to the Daily Bread. Like I said, it's a free event, but we are collecting donations for the Daily Bread, which is a local charity, which provides food and shelter to the homeless and less fortunate. So it's a great fundraising opportunity, and there's gonna be a lot of fun giveaways that is part of the event as well. So
yeah, the giveaways look amazing. I signed my whole family up today, all 7 of us, and then I posted about it, and a woman I know, she's my mom's friend in Indiana, signed up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't even think she's a runner or a walker. Her name's Chris, so best of luck to her. And she's like, "This sounds fun. Can I do it?" I'm like, "I think so. Yeah. It's virtual, so go for it." Yeah. So maybe, I mean, that's the only thing I'm finding about virtual things, including like the classes my kids are doing virtually, virtual runs, is that you can expand your audience a little bit. I agree. We would all rather be in person. There's nothing like race day. I'd much rather run a half marathon with hundreds of other people than just like out in my neighborhood or even a 5K. But it does open it up to people like my mom's friend who maybe has no opportunities to do 5Ks or doesn't know what it's all about, but she's going to get to participate. So there are some good things if you're looking for a silver lining, which of course I think we all are in these types of events and getting to come closer together. And I think the same is true just of anything virtually right now. You know, we've done some FaceTime things with family, some Zoom meetings. And I was like, this is so fun. Why don't we always do this? Mm-hmm. It's not even family. I think you touched on this last time, Pete. It's not even like it's family we can see in person. It's family far away. It's like, well, you're always far away. Mm-hmm. So why don't we get on Zoom more often? Why don't we talk more often? Because this is really fun. Or do these happy hours. So that's been kind of interesting for me. And I'm, an extrovert by just about every definition of the word. And I've been like, oh, this is great, or I don't have to go there, but I'd like to talk to this person on Zoom or on the phone. So anyway, well, I've enjoyed the Run Brevard challenge. It has definitely kept me active and on schedule and just wanting to get out there. So thanks guys for putting that together.
You're one of those people. I think we were down to 9 last time I checked that had submitted miles every day.
I'm still in there. Yep, I'm still in there.
There's 3 Katies. There's you, there's Katie Johnson, and Katie Wilson.
Oh, Katie Wilson. Yep. Okay, yep. She's always out there. Yeah, both of them are. I think it's, well, you know what you should have done instead of zip codes? Names, first names. Because
Team Katie's looking pretty strong right now.
Katie would be like, just for fun, John, you might have to run the numbers on that when it's all done. Although there's probably a lot of Johns, so
Pete's actually the stats guy on this.
I'm the man behind the curtain. John's
I'm the social media guy.
Yeah, John's the pretty face.
He's the
I'm
face.
The brains.
You're the back of the house. Well, if you figure that out, the Katies want to know, so make sure you tell us.
I feel pretty confident that the Katies would be, if not the winner, in top 3.
Okay. Well, I know we're going to bring him on in a couple minutes, but do you all want to tell the listeners a little more about our guest tonight?
So Alex Luna from Ciele Athletics is going to join us. I've known Alex probably about 5 or 6 years now in a couple different roles that he's worked with different companies. Super guy, really outgoing. And I think he's got a really interesting background. And he, in addition to being our Ciele rep, he has a woodworking and design business. And he does a lot of really cool stuff, both residential, and he has done some really, really awesome displays with Sneaker Politics and a couple other retail locations as far as like retail display units and restoring old stuff. So it's got a couple good stories for us, I'm sure.
I know this is another one I've never met, so I'm looking forward to getting to ask him some questions here on the show.
And another Alex.
Yes.
I know.
This is 2 Alexes
when he first sent it, when I just saw Alex, I was like, oh, Alex is back. Wow, he really liked being on the show, which of course we'd love to have Alex back at some point. But then I realized it was a different company, a different Alex. So maybe there's something with names there too. Like, is Alex, we should ask him how many Alex he knows who are, reps or or whatever.
Technically, the last one was Alexander, and this one is Alejandro. So it is
Okay.
slightly different, but pretty close when you shorten it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
sometimes he goes by Alejandro, sometimes by Alex. We'll see what he wants to go by.
See what he says tonight.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
All
So
right.
let's take a break. We'll get Alex in here, and then we'll start it back up.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we are back with Alejandro Luna. Do you usually go by Alejandro or Alex?
I go by Alex, but Alejandro is my real name.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us today, Alex. Alex is our Ciele rep. I've been repping Ciele for since 2018, and we've been happy to have him in the store starting early 2019, I would say, right? Because it was right after you got, is that right? Or 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, TRE 2019.
And Alex is the sales director for the Southeast USA. Did I say that right?
Yep, that's perfect.
All right, cool. Well, I got to meet Alex in our store. I guess it was early 2019 after Pete had met him at TRE, and we decided to. No, 2008. You met him 2018.
We go way back.
But you've known him. Sorry, you've known him way longer than that. You should be doing this intro, not me.
As Ciele rep, yes. Yeah, 2018 was Ciele days. But what's funny is, John, you ran a half marathon and got a Ciele hat as an award or something?
No, I signed up for a half marathon. I had been eyeing the Ciele hat for a long time. It was a special edition they did, the CMYK edition, and they went out of stock, and I was like, oh, bum, I'm so bummed. And then they posted on their Instagram that they found some more, and I was like, okay, well, this is my chance to get one now, so I got to buy one now. And it came in the day before I was running a half marathon, so I was like, oh, I'm wearing it. I got to wear this, and so that was September 2018, I think, when I got that first hat, and I've been wearing them on all my runs since.
And Katie, as you know, when John latches on to something, he was wanting to tell me all about it, and I'm just like, all right, John, whatever. Yeah, a hat. Yeah, it was a pretty cool hat. Don't get me wrong. I liked it a lot. And then we got to Austin for TRE and go by the Ciele booth, and I'm like, Alex Luna's the rep. Okay, yes, let's do it.
Well, Pete, you should just be happy that it's not a denim hat.
Because
right. John's really, that's another thing he's really into, apparently. I don't know if you knew that, Alex, but John likes to talk about denim. But I remember when you all started.
Denim hats? No, I didn't know that.
Not necessarily denim hats, just denim in
like
general.
Denim.
Just selvage denim, Japanese denim, stuff like that. So.
But if you all started making those, he probably would wear them. I remember when the hats started showing up at the store, and then on more and more runs, and then women got the hats in the store too, and they're so pretty, they're so bright. I know they're light to run into, all things obviously, as you sell them, but they're definitely very eye-catching. So, but Pete, you said you knew him before that, so how far back in the Wayback Machine are we going to go? When did you guys meet?
So Alex was the tech rep for Saucony when I met him.
So we met. Yeah, I think it was 2014. I became the Saucony rep for all of Florida, and I moved from Austin, Texas to Florida on after a week of getting the job. They're like, all right, you got to move now. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Didn't know where I was living or anything. And that's when I met Pete, as obviously as Florida rep and I think I did that for about 2.5 years until I ended up moving to Texas with Saucony to be closer to home.
And so let's go, let's circle back then to closer to home. How did you get started running?
So I started running the summer of 8th grade. I was playing soccer at the time and wanted to get fit, and was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to train through the summer. And then I ended up just kind of falling in love with running and staying in cross country and track through the end of high school. And then I decided not to run in college. I still ran through college and have continued running since, but just was kind of done on the competitive side of things.
I can relate.
Yeah.
And then So did you start working in Run Specialty like during college, or when did you start working?
Yeah, so when I graduated high school, I decided to go to community college. I didn't know what I wanted to do and didn't want to go spend a ton of money. And at that time, there was a pretty big Run Specialty account, Luke's Locker in Texas. It was in Houston, Katy, Woodlands, like these big cities. And I started training with this program that they had where we were kind of coaching at-risk high school kids. And during that program, like I fell in love with the staff and they ended up hiring me on board. And then I just kind of never left. When I ended up going to UT, they had just opened the Austin location and they transferred me there. And I stayed with them until I got the job with Saucony, and then kind of never left the Run Specialty industry until just a few years ago, and then came back.
It has a way of sucking you in, doesn't it, John?
Yeah, right. I started part-time at Running Zone. And
yeah, it's
I'm there all the time.
It's awesome.
So they were telling, when I was looking over the notes for this interview, they were talking about Run Specialty, obviously, and all the places you've been. But then there's a note on here that you also are involved in woodworking and design, and that you actually make some money doing this.
Yeah, that actually pays my bills. So about, I guess, three and a half years ago, I left the Run Specialty industry and kind of pursued a venture in like marketing for I was doing odd stuff on my own as a hobby, and then decided that I wanted to pursue woodworking completely. And I started working for a woodworking company in Austin that restored 100-year-old windows. So we worked on buildings like pre-Capitol, Texas Capitol, restoring these like crazy windows with like the lead pulleys. And at that time, I kept thinking, man, like I just want to design retail spaces for Run Specialty stores or sneaker boutiques. It was like I'd been in the Run Specialty market for so long and in retail that I felt like things had not changed on the retail side of things in terms of like what customers were experiencing in store. So actually at that time of working for the woodworking company, an agency that was being Ciele, hired me on board to kind of help out with some of the accounts in Austin and in Houston, since that's where I was like spending most of my time. And the Loop Running, who y'all are probably familiar with, out of Austin, Texas, we were planning a stance party with them. And I walked into their store, which was not yet finished. And they were like, hey, like, this is our store. We're going to have this party here. And I was like, your store's not done. Like, what's going on? And they're like, well, we have the shoe wall that we need to get done. Do you know of anyone? And I was like, yeah, I can do it. And they were like, seriously? So, like, I had a few days to mock up the shoe wall, and I designed my first shoe wall ever and did it within a few weeks and had it done. And kind of the career started there, and then it never ended. So thank you, The Loop.
So do you mainly do it for, like you mentioned, Run Specialty stores, or do you do woodworking in other like mediums in design?
Yeah, I've done like, now that I've been in woodworking for some time, I've done like floating vanities and dining room tables and stuff like that. But most of my business comes from like designing retail spaces. I think in the past 3 years, I've designed 4 stores now. 3 were high-end sneaker boutiques, and then the other was a Run Specialty store, which we're still working on this year currently.
And when you're designing something, how much percentage-wise do you consider like the visual aspects of it, and then using like what you know about the industry and how people shop? How does that influence like how you design things?
I would say that a lot of it goes into how the employee is going to interact with it in store, and then also the customer. So I would say really 50-50. And then I try to design something unique after that. So like, for instance, most people hate going into their stockroom door, right? It's just usually a normal door, pivot door that swings open and close. And at the sneaker boutique, you have this retail space and then this random door. So I decided to make it a hidden door with slat walls. So whenever the employee goes into it, they push this massive door with slats that like no one would know there was a door there. So it kind of just like aids in the visual like presentation that's going on in the store. And then a lot of my like retail fixtures that I design are also modular. So they allow for the staff to continually like change the way the product is displayed in store, which is huge in retail marketing. You know, you got to make sure that you're switching out new and old product and that you're switching things so that every time a customer comes in, it looks like there's something different there, you know?
Do you have like an Instagram account or somewhere where you keep all of these things? Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. It's Collective Woodwork is the for Instagram. I'm pretty terrible at posting everything that I've done. I'll be honest, since it's really just me and my brother that work. My brother's a metal fabricator, and we do all the woodworking and metal together. So it's pretty busy managing like the design, the building, and then also the media and all the content that you're producing. But here in the next month or so, once travel restrictions kind of let up, I'll be taking photos of all the final stores that we did this past year.
Okay. Yeah. Cause you're describing it. It sounds great, but I know I personally would love to see how some of those turned out. So I'll just check that out and keep checking back since you're going to post more pictures. And then,
yes.
So you kind of have talked about projects you really liked and projects you're working on. I'm guessing you're kind of grounded right now, right? Are you able to do anything from home in the woodworking space?
Yes, I am. Like I own my own shop and it's on like private property, so I can get there pretty easily. It was pretty difficult once like we kind of were restricted from like traveling and stuff, because a lot of my wood comes from a distribution center and it comes from all over the US. So it was a little tough in the beginning, but it finally got to me and we've begun working again. So.
Okay. And obviously you're probably not traveling as a rep right now either.
I think I answered your question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Have you found, since you've been home, I know this has been happening to me, certain projects I'm not able to do, but then I've got all these other things that have been on the back burner that are coming to the front, or new ideas, new creativity. Have you found anything like that has happened to you while you've been home?
Yeah, this sounds really boring, but I got caught up on my taxes for the business. That as a business owner, you don't realize like how much time that takes. We are designing some new displays for this modular fixture system that we designed this year. So we've been doing that. We're trying to stay busy while like, I guess we were spending more office days at the beginning of the pandemic. And now we're starting to get back to the shop a little bit more.
And then what about the other side of the business? Talk a little bit about the history of Ciele and how you got involved and what the brand's all about. Because John and I talk about it nonstop, but people probably want to hear it from the expert, other than us saying they're really cool hats.
Yeah, for sure. They are really cool and they're comfortable too, which I think is the most important part of it. But yeah, I would say when I was working for the agency out of Texas while I was woodworking, we were repping Ciele. It was a really small brand for the agency, but it had always stood out to me. And when I was trying to sell it in, obviously, headwear is pretty difficult, but you're like, hey, I swear you're going to love these hats. And seating and just kind of being stoked on the brand, had the owner of the agency reach out to Ciele. They were going to be coming to TRE for the first time, and seeing that I was a woodworker in Austin, they needed a booth, like a trade show booth. And Mike, one of the founders and owners, reached out to me after talking to Ty, who was the owner of the agency, and was like, hey, I heard you do woodworking and you live in Austin. Do you want to take on this like trade show booth for us? And I was like, man, I would love it. By the way, I rep the brand and I love it. And it's like probably one of the coolest brands we have on the, like, for the agency. And, you know, the event went great. Terry was awesome. The booth came out, you know, how they wanted. And at that time, woodworking was kind of taking off. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be repping you guys anymore. It's going to be really tough to manage like both with all the brands that we had. And after like a few months, Jeremy and Mike, the two owners or founders, had reached back out to me and said, hey, would you be like open to repping just Ciele if you had the time to do it? And I was like, yes, 110%. It was kind of like a dream come true, being able to do both, like run specialty and woodworking at the same time. It does get difficult at times, but I do my best to manage it so I can stay in both worlds. In terms of the history of Ciele, so the two founders are Jeremy and Mike. They're both Canadian. They live in Montreal. Their background is in kind of like the skate and ski world. Jeremy's the main designer. He's kind of everything you see on the hat, everything from the logos underneath is all him, all the colors. Mike manages the business for the most part. They've had a relationship prior to starting this business, and they had wanted to start a brand together. They didn't know what it was. So it kind of just, you know, took some time. And while they were pondering what they were going to do, Jeremy was running to and from work to lose weight and to stay healthy. And, you know, it was summertime in Montreal, super hot. And he was like, man, I need a hat. So he went into a run specialty store, and seeing that he's a designer for technical products, he was looking for like this unique technical hat that he could not find. And he realized that, man, there's like no brand is really like taking headwear seriously, like for the most part, in terms of like something truly high end. So him and Mike got together and decided like they were going to take on the category of headwear and start there, which is the reason why the brand is called Ciele. Ciel in French means sky. And since they started designing product from the head down, it was kind of like a motto for that. We've now begun designing and producing shirts, one that John is wearing currently.
Yep.
And then hopefully in the next few years, we'll see bags and shorts and other apparel items. I think we have a collab with a sunglass company for 2021 as well.
Nice.
Are you able to say what sunglass company? Because now I'm curious.
I'm gonna hold off on that until I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah.
But I know that they're gonna be like the colorways are gonna be of hats that you've like that have been on our core line for some time, like Red Rocks and stuff like that. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see.
Cool. And so you mentioned that everything's based in Canada. So I'll tell this funny story that you were able to help out with. We got our opening order, and we got almost all the hats and like most of the display. And then there was this other box that was labeled with the same shipping labels and everything. And I was like, that's a really oddly shaped box for a display or for a hat. And so I cut it open, and it's like paperback books, but like not new books, but like used books. And so I'm like, why would Alex send us books? Like, are these supposed to like protect parts of the display from getting damaged in shipping or something? And, you know, I thought about it for a few hours, and I'm like looking at them, I'm like, I just don't understand how this is going on. And finally I let them know. And like, I guess the incorrect shipping label got put on this box, and then whoever was supposed to get these books in El Paso, Texas, got the rest of our shipping, our store display for Ciele hats. And so we got it all sorted out, and a couple of customs delays, but we figured it all out. So customs,
yeah, and since then, Pete, we have actually taken in all shipping in-house. So like in Montreal, we have an office. where the office units are upstairs, and then you walk downstairs and go down the street, and then like our office is attached, our warehouse is attached to the building. So UA is her name. She kind of manages all of it. We're a pretty small team, but I would say we do a pretty good job of making sure everyone gets their products on time, and actually we're the ones packing them, you know, which is pretty cool to say.
Have you been up to the headquarters?
I haven't yet. It was a plan to do it in the summertime because winter is terrible. Yeah. Jeremy was actually texting me a few days ago and was like, hey, send us some warm weather. It's below 0. And I'm over here in like 90-degree heat already, you know?
Yep,
that does not sound fun. Yeah, I would also not want to go during the winter. So you haven't been to headquarters, but obviously you've probably traveled a lot for this job and your other jobs before. So what's one of your favorite places to run anywhere that you've been?
I would have to say the Greenbelt in Austin, Texas. So I spent a lot of time there through college and it's just kind of, it was always a place for me to kind of get lost in the trails, and the trails can go on for, you know, you can put like 50, 60 miles in at a time without ever seeing a road. So it was really cool to just like always let go and have some peace and quiet. So I would say that that's probably my favorite place to run, even though I've been to a lot of the US, you know?
And so do you still run there now when you get a chance?
Every time I go back. Every time. I try not to miss it, you know? It also has like in the summertime, there's like, it's like an aquifer is part of that area. So there's like running water. It's a stream off of the Colorado. So after a run, you can literally jump into an awesome running creek of water, and it's beautiful. You can lounge on huge rocks. It's just kind of crazy that in the middle of Austin, there's this amazing place, you know?
That's so awesome. I know when we were there for TRE, that's the only time I've been to Austin, but even just going around like, you know, I guess it's called Lady Bird Lake, right? Am I saying that right? That was like really cool.
Yep, you are.
Just I mean, you could go, you know, all the way along the lake, and you know, when I joined you for that fun run from the loop, that was a really cool you know, loop that we did, and it was right around Christmas time, so that one park had all those Christmas lights lit up as well. So it was a fun little fun run from that store, and it was cool because I got to see some of like the displays you built for the store. And
yeah, and what's crazy is you have Lady Bird Lake downtown that you can get about 12 miles. Yeah, it's pretty during the holiday time there. They do a good job at decorating and having a festival. I guess it's Festival of Lights, you know, at Zilker Park, and there's a 5K run. So the city's always been really good about that.
And I think I asked you this the last time you were in town for Ciele, but you are not in Austin right now. You're in Lafayette, Louisiana. And how'd you end up there?
I am. So my wife is originally from here.
That's right.
And when I was outgrowing my space in Austin, real estate has gone up substantially, like more than I can afford. So at that time, I was traveling to Dallas, Houston, New Orleans, and it didn't seem like I really needed to be in Austin, you know, to do what I was doing. So we decided to move back and have a little bit more space and cut down on our expenses. And though it's not as fun as Austin, it definitely has its perks, like really amazing Cajun food and crawfish. And it definitely has its own unique culture here that a lot of people travel to, you know, so it's been cool to experience this, even though it's super humid and swampy here. I would say even worse than Florida.
And you seem to be embracing the Cajun food. I know I've seen you cooking up some crawfish on your grill or barbecue or whatever you want to call that on Instagram a few times. So look like you're having a good time.
Yeah, it's my wife's favorite food, and it's like there's a season for it. So as soon as it becomes available, we try to eat it once a week. And, as the prices start off really high for it, just kind of like, I guess, market price for fish. And then it kind of goes down towards the end of the season. So we're right now towards the end of the season. And like my wife literally just went to go get us each 5 pounds of crawfish. So I'm excited that I get to eat that after this podcast is over.
That's so awesome.
And then we have a question on here. I don't want to steal your thunder. John, you want to ask the question about the shoe? His favorite shoe?
No, go for it.
Well, I guess I've just asked you. We want to know what your favorite shoe of all time is and what you're currently wearing to run in.
So my favorite shoe is in 2005, Nike had released it was called the Nike Zoom Streak XC. It looked like it was a racing flat, like all white mesh, really plain. And to this day, it has been my favorite running shoe. It's where I spend most of my time on the track, running intervals, and I can't find it anymore. Obviously, it's like long gone. But currently, my favorite shoe is the Hoka Carbon X. So since my cross country days, I've gained probably about 25 pounds, just cycling and, growing into an adult, and cushion is definitely needed, but the responsiveness of the shoe is insanely awesome. So that's what I put most of my mileage in these days.
Have you taken a look at do you see the Rocket X, that new prototype they've been working on?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah. So I went to the Marathon Olympic trials back in February. It seems like forever ago now, but yeah, a lot of their athletes are wearing the Rocket X right now. It's kind of like same idea as the Carbon X, but just new and updated. So might be something to check out once.
Like a lighter weight. Is it lighter weight than the current Carbon X with a different upper?
I'm not 100% sure. We haven't seen it in selling or anything like that yet, so I don't have the full details on it. They actually put it on their site for like that weekend to sell, because every brand was trying to put those shoes out, so to give justification for their athletes to be using competition because of the new the World Athletics rules regarding footwear and whatnot. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. I'll have to check it out.
John will keep you in the loop on all the up and coming shoes. He won't let you miss it. I know the last couple podcasts we've been doing this way, we've been talking about, because so many people are binging on TV and podcasts and whatever else, or movies, what we've all been watching or listening to or reading. So if you guys want, we can go around and share that. Do you want to go first? Our guest, Alex?
Yeah, so watching, I guess my favorite show currently has been in Spanish. It's called Casa de Papel, or I guess Money Heist in English. Yeah. I speak Spanish fluently, so I don't watch it dubbed, but it is an insane show. And I'm done with it and waiting for the next season to arrive. But yeah, I'm not reading any books currently. I read a lot of articles on woodworking, and that's about it, honestly.
It sounds good. So where do you find that show? What platform is it on?
Netflix.
Okay.
For sure.
We'll have to check that out. And you can watch it in English, or you can watch it dubbed?
Yeah, you can watch it in English. It's just it has a voiceover, and sometimes I don't know if you've ever seen international shows where it's the words sometimes don't match. Yeah. So I watch everything with either subtitles. So I don't know what it's like with the voiceover, but I would say still watch it because it's awesome.
I will join in on that because I think Katie Johnson and Tracy had both watched Money Heist as well, because they were talking about it, and then my wife and I, Courtney and I, started watching it, and I don't speak Spanish or un poco, and So we've been watching it in English, and then we watch everything with captions because at any point in time, my dogs could start barking at something, and I don't want to miss out what's going on. So the dub is fine. You get like the you get an idea of what's going on. But what bothers me the most is that the dub doesn't match the captions. So like I'll start reading it, but then they're saying something like slightly different, and it just like bothers me a little bit. But the show is good. I'm only on season 1, so I've got like 2 more seasons to go to catch up. But I didn't know how big of like it's like a big international hit right now. I had no idea. So I'm still catching up.
And Pete, I know we kind of mentioned Tiger King earlier and how we're going to get into some conspiracy theories about that. And we also talked about, before you got here, Alex, we were talking about The Last Dance, the ESPN 10-part documentary on the Chicago Bulls. And Pete and I have been watching that. John, not yet. We're going to find the one where they talk about Air Jordans, and then we're going to make him watch that one. Have you been watching it?
No, I don't have ESPN, which I'm totally sad about, because me and my wife both, being in like the sneakerhead world, we love Jordan. And like, it's just crazy that like in 3rd grade, I had a pair of Jordans and a jersey, and to see that come out is awesome. So hopefully we get to catch up on it pretty soon.
I had heard that it's on Netflix, so you might want to look. I think maybe on a delay.
Sweet.
On a delay, yeah. Check it out. I don't know that for sure, but I've heard it from a few places. So,
is it pretty good since I've been keeping up with it?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Especially if you liked Jordan when you were a kid. Like it's like I was saying earlier in the show, it's just a different way to look at things that you remember, and now as an adult, really understand a little bit better. So I think you'll like it.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
What else, Pete? We've got Last Dance. We've got Tiger King. What else are you watching, listening to, reading?
Let's see.
Not baseball.
Yeah, not a lot of baseball going on, but recently, so back in September, I went up to Maryland to visit some of my friends, and OAR played a live show. They're from the Maryland area, so anytime they play at this place called Merriweather Post Pavilion, they usually have like an awesome show. And we found out probably like 2 or 3 days before the show that they were recording it for a live DVD. And so I recently got that, and I've been watching parts of that concert, off and on, kind of dancing around and seeing if Amelia gets into it. And so we're like maybe a third of the way through the concert. We can't really sit still for that long, but it's cool. Like I remember, obviously, I remember everything, of course, but it was a fun night, put it that way. And I'm glad that we were up in this like booth area, and I don't think there's any shots of what was happening in that booth during the video.
That's what I was going to ask, if you found yourself on the video.
I did not. Not yet. Hopefully I don't.
Was this the concert where you went and like ran like a 10K the next morning or something?
Yeah, it was 11K actually. It was a 9/11 memorial, and they do a 5K and an 11K option. So.
Wow.
Did it hurt?
It hurt a lot. I mean, Tom and I both kind of agreed that we weren't going to push anything. We were just going to do it. Because I was originally like, we're going to go out the night before. Just sign me up for the 5K. And he's like, no, I'm doing the 11K. You're going to do it with me. I'm like, all right. So, but a cool note about that. So the lead singer for OAR, his name's Mark. Him and a couple other musicians have been like having concerts in their home and doing an Instagram live. So he's been doing that every Sunday. It's been entertaining. I know a couple of the Sundays we've been in the store. I've had it on my phone. Basically he posts up in his neighbor's apartment because his kids will be too loud in his own apartment. And he plays a little acoustic session, takes requests, and kind of tells stories about like what some of the songs, how they got wrote. And it's just an interesting way to kind of capture an audience during this time where, they can't have concerts. We can't really do anything else, but he's got his guitar and his phone. So why not make a concert and try and get people pumped about their music? So I like it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I, other than The Last Dance, I haven't been watching a whole lot, but I have been watching the SNLs at home. I know you can watch most of them on YouTube too, but I found those really interesting. I think it's so interesting to just see like their houses, their apartments. I mean, any celebrity who's posted something, I've just found that so interesting. Musicians, or I mean, I don't know. The one a couple weeks ago, Tom Hanks opened in his kitchen, and I mean, it was nicer than my kitchen, but I was like, really? That's his kitchen? Like, like that's not that impressive. There's like a Keurig on the counter, and like countertops look like mine. I don't know. It's just like, oh, all right. Well, maybe he could have, you know, but it's, I think anything
They're pretty
like that.
ordinary, right?
Yeah, really. I was just, and then of course, you know, the comedians on the show aren't as wealthy as Tom Hanks, but to see their different apartments and things like that was kind of fun. But other than that, I have been writing a lot, so I haven't been reading as much. Any free moment I have, I've been trying to write. And I'm trying to, I have this app. Do you guys have the app Pocket, where you can like, it basically, you kind of tell it your interests, and it has an algorithm, and it kind of learns the things you like to read. So instead of just like mainstream news, it'll give you these kind of off the wall articles about topics. And then the more you read, the more it kind of figures out what you like to read. It keeps track of how long you're reading it.
That's
so every
cool.
now, yeah, it's pretty cool. You should check it out. So I've been finding some pretty cool articles on there. And sometimes they give me stuff that's a total miss, but just trying to read different things than what you're seeing on TV or on Facebook or on the internet all day long. Trying to get away from that a little bit.
Yeah, you can only read the same article written by 20 different news outlets, you know, so many times, and the same quotes, and then
no, I just like you know, DeSantis was on earlier for like an hour on TV, and I didn't watch any of it, and then it got done, and I just asked my husband, I said, so what's the verdict? I'm like, summarize for me what just happened, because I don't want to go back and, you know, so he gave me the summary, and that was easy enough. But kind of speaking of that, we have one other thing we definitely wanted to ask you, Alex, and that was kind of has to do with quarantine, like lessons we're kind of learning without getting too cheesy, or maybe you can get cheesy. Good, bad, otherwise, things you're learning about yourself that you maybe wouldn't have known if you weren't forced to stay home for the past month or 6 weeks. Anything come to mind?
Yeah. When I started the woodworking business, I kind of stopped exercising. Woodworking kind of took most of my time, and I thought that it was a good idea to invest all of my time in one thing. So I've never been fat or anything like that. Luckily, you know, we eat healthy at home, but you know, I wasn't fit. And like during this quarantine time, me and my wife have both been like working out every day and kind of balancing our schedules more. So like, instead of working like 50 hours a day, it's like closer to 8. And even though I'm not getting as much done, and that stresses me out a little bit, I'm a bit happier. You know, I'm running more, exercising, hitting the gym. Like we have a gym in our garage, so we work out together, and it's just been awesome to spend more time with her doing like active things instead of just like dinner and, you know, the normal like going out activities and stuff. So it's definitely helped us in creating better habits for each other and our family. So even though it's been terrible, like with everything going on, I've tried to take the best out of it, you know?
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of people are trying to do that, you know, like, you know, obviously we're not really operating at, you know, full capacity in the store right now, but there's still like a number of people that are coming by like, hey, like, are you guys open? I really need some shoes. Like, there's not much else to do right now other than run. And, you know, my shoes are beat up. I need some new ones. And a lot of people, you know, just, doing, and I mean, I scroll through Facebook Marketplace all the time just to see what's out there. And the price of like workout equipment is absolutely insane right now. People are just like trying to sell equipment just because they know you can't get it anywhere right now. And it's astronomical. It's ridiculous, but it's another topic. I don't have a garage to work out.
It is crazy.
Yeah. I think that's one thing, you know, like a not unintended consequence, but something, I think the work structure is forever changed from this point on. And, you know, one thing, you know, we've done a lot of remote stuff. We're doing virtual fittings in the store. We've done all kinds of virtual meetings. And I think it's even penetrated. The NFL is the most intense, work schedule there is, coming from our minor league football team that I work for was made up of ex-NFL people, players, coaches, personnel. So everybody was used to that, 6 a.m. to midnight every single day. And like, whether or not there was something to do, you had to sit in this meeting and you had to talk for an hour. And like, there was no like, oh, well, can't you just tell me what happens? Like, no, you're going to be in this meeting. And the NFL is such a grind for not only the players, but the personnel. And with the draft being virtual, I think almost all the GMs and coaches had said, like, there's really no reason that, we can't take a couple days off, in the couple months or the month leading, couple months from the Super Bowl to the draft. Like, coaches can go home and see their families for a week and watch tape at home, and we can do these virtual meetings, and we can have, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy? I like this guy better. And, with the technology, you can share screens and do whatever else. And most of them were like, I think we can do this going forward. Like, we don't have to work 24/7. So I think a lot, and the trickle down effect of that to every other job is like, how many more meetings can we do virtually or from Zoom rather than having to be in? And, Alex, I don't know if you guys have talked about that with Ciele, but like, I think a lot of the reps in our area, particularly with Florida, because it's so big, like, if you're a Florida rep, it does, like, you could be in Miami one day and have to be in the Panhandle the next day, and it's like, that's a whole day in and of itself. So I wonder how much of that's around after all this.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
I will say that having lived in...
No, go ahead.
Good, Katie, go for it.
Okay, I was just going to say the same thing, that I agree with the work. I know I've worked at home for a long time, but still there's a lot of industries where there's a really big pushback against that. Obviously, some industries you can't be at home all the time or even part of the time, but this has sort of forced companies who may have been hesitant, or just there's so much red tape to pilot this program and try it, and we got to measure it, that they didn't have a choice. And so it's really pushed forward some change, which I'm hoping helps with work-life balance in all industries. As you even mentioned, Alex, having that time to a little bit more balance between your work and your life, and that everybody is a better worker in the end when that's the case. So I feel like this has forced anyone who might have been hesitant. But go on, say what you were going to say.
Yeah,
before
no,
I
was going to say, no, you're hitting on the same points that I was in terms like of what Pete was talking about. Is like, I do manage a huge territory. I manage Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I went to see, I did a whole week, and I literally did all of Florida and tried to hit Georgia and make my way back. And it's a lot of times like the expenses and the time don't necessarily make sense, right? So I'm hoping that after this, run specialty accounts and are open to digital meetings, because it's not that I don't want to be face to face with you guys and hugging you and interacting. It's just sometimes it's quicker and it's faster and it's easier, and I'm hoping that through all this, they're a little bit more acceptable of it, because it does make sense. You're setting aside a sell-in meeting, and Pete, you can interject here. Like, when a rep comes in, I guess, who maybe hasn't seen you in 6 months, it's good to see them and kind of see them face to face. I guess it's a little bit, what word am I trying to use? I guess it's it makes you feel important, right? And I don't think that the virtual meeting takes anything away from that, for allotting the same amount of time to a sell-in virtually. My upstairs guest bedroom has a Ciele display with the hats on it, but I haven't used it yet. And that was kind of the point, was to do virtual sell-in that way and hopefully help accounts,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot smarter ways to do things, and not to take away from the in-person interaction that is needed. But as you mentioned, sometimes it just doesn't add up, or there are things you can do at home. If you're emailing, if you have a day where you're emailing a bunch of people, you could do that from anywhere, or even phone calls. You don't have to be sitting in an office or somewhere specific. But, well, I know Pete, we like to say this for the end for our listeners and viewers. I don't know if you know this, but he's very into conspiracy theories. And, well, I wouldn't say he's into them. Kind of. And so he brought some. If you would like to participate in this part of the podcast before we wrap up, Alex.
Let's do it.
And I know to start with, I've got something here on, Tiger King. What you got?
So last time, I gave you the two choices, which one's more plausible. And we go again with that, with the two shows we're talking about. So with Tiger King, I don't want to give away any spoilers for people that haven't seen it, but there are some pictures going around the internet theorizing that Jeff might actually be Carol's first husband, not the one she killed, but there's like the old pictures of him and the pictures of Jeff, and like they got this weird chin going on. Like it's almost weird enough that no two people can have that chin. So that's option number one. Number two, this has been around for a long time, and I'll bring it up because of The Last Dance. And there was actually an article that just came out like last week recovering this. But a lot of people believe that when Jordan retired the first time, it was an unofficial suspension from the NBA because they knew that he was gambling. They didn't know how much. And so the theory was they basically told him to take a year off as a suspension that they weren't going to enforce. Nobody would benefit if they suspended, their best player at the time, and probably, depending on who you talk to, the best player of all time. And it was just a bad situation. So I think that was really plausible. This article that I was reading, I think it was an SI article, basically came out and downplayed and like proved for all intents and purposes that couldn't have happened. But there's always that little crack in the door that makes you think, well, and not only that, but like the anecdotal stories of, players that played with him over the years and everything, like just how much he gambled on everything. I know when he was with the Wizards at the end of his career, they would be gambling sometimes six figures on like free throw contests. And, the other part of that is there are people who believe that conspiracy theory also believe that his father was murdered as part of a gambling debt. It's all my favorite conspiracy theories are the ones that spawn separate conspiracy theories and keep the wheels turning. Yeah.
I have to say.
I mean, I've heard that about his dad before. Yeah. That was some sort of gambling related situation, which could be. I don't know. I think that's plausible about the suspension too. That it wouldn't have done the NBA any good to be public about what it really was. And maybe they cared about him enough. They really just wanted him to get better. I don't know. And I haven't seen Tiger King. Alex, have you seen it? What do you think about all this?
No, I have not. So I'm really weird about documentaries. I love them, but like that one just did not interest me. I see all the media about it and how crazy it is, and it just hasn't piqued my interest at all. And I know that may anger some people, but I'm just not into it.
I'm like the type of person that whether it's a movie or a documentary, in like 2 years I'm going to watch it. And then I'm going to be like on Facebook like, oh my God, Carol Baskin. And everyone's going to be like, why? What's going on?
Where have you been? That was
is this a flashback? What's going on?
Yep.
I've done that with a few movies where like they win all these awards and then like 2-3 years later, I'm like, oh, I never did see that movie. And then I'm like trying to talk to everybody about it. And they're like, this conversation does not belong in this year. But so you'll have to make your own decision on that one, Pete, because none of us are educated enough to know the answer to that one.
Sounds like I'll be making the only vote. And I think the Jordan gambling suspension is probably the more plausible of those two, just based on the amount of evidence available. and also the source, we're talking about some people that are, as far as the Tiger King world goes, everybody that you meet in that show is shadier than the last person that just talked. And so you don't really know what to think about any of them, but we'll leave them both as possible. And I'll continue my research to find 2 more for next time.
Yeah, I'm going to look a little too.
So while we were talking earlier, I pulled up when The Last Dance is going to be on Netflix, and apparently it's July 19th. So it'll be all at once, no commercials, just so you can just binge straight through it. So
sweet.
So maybe we'll have you back on in August. And
I'm cool with
you and
that.
You and John can be like me normally for everything else and talk about how great it was, months later. And then Pete and I can kind of weigh in.
But
we've had
Katie,
some time.
I would have to agree with you that I'm similar to you in that like some things get a lot of hype and I never watch them until like a year or 2 later. I guess like my mind is just somewhere else at the time and not intrigued by it. And then I end up watching it. I'm like, oh man, that was actually pretty interesting. Like, that's cool. And I just move on.
And nobody cares anymore. It's amazing.
It didn't affect my life. Yeah, exactly.
I know. It's
I was trying to hold out for a while, and we made it like 2 weeks. I was like, nah, let's save Tiger King. Really bored, and we really have nothing else to do. And
right.
We were scrolling around Netflix, and Laura's like, should we just watch it and get it over with?
Right.
All right, let's start watching it.
That was probably the smart move. You're going to watch it eventually. But I'll probably be asking you about it in like 3 years. So keep it fresh.
I'll rewatch
in your mind. Well, I think that was basically everything for tonight that we wanted to cover. Gosh, time flies.
I'm losing my daylight.
We almost can't see Pete. That's how we know it's time to wrap up, because it's like soon he'll be in the dark. So we have to finish this. And I know you have crawfish waiting for you, so we definitely don't want to keep you too long from that.
Yeah.
But thank you for being on, and I'm definitely going to check out that Instagram. You said it was Woodwork Collective, or did I say that backward?
Other way.
Collective Woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to check it out. And as always, listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in to Run Brevard.
Woodwork.
Okay. And as usual, thanks for tuning in to Run Brevard Running Zones podcast.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, this was really fun. This is kind of what I mean too, the whole in-person thing. We're able to have you on as a guest even though you're not here. So that's kind of fun. We've been able to have guests from far away on lately, so that's been really cool. And if you're listening, you can listen to all of Run Brevard at runbrevard.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please leave us a 5-star review. You can follow us on social media as well at Run Brevard. Yes, 5-star only. 5-star only. You can follow us on social media at Run Brevard on Instagram and Twitter. And then you can join our group on Facebook, Run Brevard Running Zones podcast on the Running Zone page. And stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be back in the studio together soon. But until then, we hope to keep bringing you these Zoom episodes and have some more of our friends on. So thanks so much, Alex. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, John. And we'll see all of you listeners and viewers next time. Cheers.
See ya. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.